And we are coming back to civilization. Literally, this site has to be acres and acres. I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to research this site. It's definitely not Native American, as far as I'm not a scholar in this stuff, but the telltale signs show that it's something a little bit more advanced than that, and we can maybe figure out our history a little bit longer on this continent. So yeah, this is Sean Rutkowski, and I am signing off. Bye bye. 90-degree angles on a stone, obviously aged. Interesting stuff. Get down lower. Almost like a brick, a granite brick, very large granite brick. Never seen anything like these geologically. They're scattered, many in close proximity to each other. Directly next to that is another one. There's actually three. Oh, I see in the distance there's four. It's almost like, I don't know what these pits were for, but they're all surrounded by rocks and build up. Very interesting. This is about a 10-foot hole here. Video doesn't really do it justice, but just to show you, this is level ground and it's surrounded by boulders. It looks like it was mined out, or a well of some sort. Once again, all these trees are encircled with stones. So definitely, obviously, paid attention to nature, whoever these people were, and worshipped it. Once again, leading away from this rock, this entire hill is built up with rocks. This is the biggest boulder I've found yet. Absolutely magnificent. Obviously, it's super old. It's almost as if these hills were terraced to farm. Just something I don't know if the Native Americans did that, but it's definitely something that a more advanced civilization would do to make the most out of the land. Again, large boulders are scattered up this hill, filled in with small ones underneath them. Climbing up the hill, which is all built up with rocks, all the way up to the top of the ridge. Once again, showing how ancient these are. These are stones placed in an almost fence that toppled over. I mean, I can't even put an age on these. But for them to be laying like this, and the lichen and just the stones in general, have to be way pre-Columbus. Close to where that last stone was, we have boulders are getting bigger here. We have a giant boulder. It's probably about 4 feet across, and all stones build up around it. If I was to guesstimate what this was, I would say it's some kind of hearth or smelting pit. We're getting closer and closer to the top of the ridge, but it's very interesting. Once again, another example of stones built up by mighty oak. Still following the wall. Maybe there'll be something at the end. Again, this wall continues forward. Just a closer look to show that these rocks were obviously placed. I mean, they're a little dismantled as age and erosion went over them, but there is some semblance to them. This entire ridge is built up like a wall, a terrace. These stones were definitely placed. Can't be a natural thing. They're all in a line, and they're extending in both directions. Very interesting. This looks like an ancient fire pit. Perfect circle. Boulders around it. Definitely some human activity here. Huge ancient boulders once again, I mean, the lichen on it is, or lichen, I don't know how you say that, is obviously very old. Love mushrooms. Another large swath of stones seemingly placed together. Very interesting. It's again very large boulders. They seem to be around trees. Whether these giant trees has been here for a long time. Once again, all quartz. Seems to be a golden eagle here. This is a second feather. Actually, wow, we have a third over there. Impressive. Once again, we have a square on this rock. Almost cut. Very interesting. Could be natural, but normally squares are not too natural in the world. Once again, these boulders, as far as I researched, are majority quartz and are not native to this area, which means they would have to be moved miles. And for an ancient culture to do that, there has to be some significance to this area. As we get closer to the ridge, a lot more larger boulders. The ridge seems to be the culmination of all this, as there was a very important spot on the ridge. It's the highest point in the area here, overlooking all of Longswamp, those fields. Very large rectangle boulder. About 3 or 4 feet. Very interesting quartz rock. How it's formed does not seem natural. It's again just more stones. This is grown over, but this is what I believe to be one of the few burial mounds that are back here. They're all at approximately 7 to 8 feet long, all small stones individually placed. Very interesting stuff. And these stones lead right up at almost like walls around these bogs, which leads you to question if these were formed by glaciated or if this was a mined area for possibly products to create iron, which we'll get into. There are what I believe are iron smelting ovens here, so it's a possibility that people were mining, or if they might have even been mining peat moss, which would be used to start the fires because it burns at a very high temperature. That's a possibility as well. Looks like there's some modern stuff back here. This is a once again a bog, and there's an outcropping there that looks like it was man-made, but it looks like somebody was recently burning a fire here. So I feel like dinosaurs are about to pop out back here. Entire field of ferns. Beautiful. Once again, stones that are seemingly fit together. Obviously they've aged quite some time, so they seem to be falling apart and a little archaic, but nonetheless still seem to be man-made. As I get closer to the site, there seems to be a large culmination of stones that seem to be placed almost like roads in this area. There are bogs everywhere down here. I would imagine there's a lot of peat in this area because of the bogs. I don't know if these were, I believe these were formed by glaciers at one point when they receded, like 20,000 years ago. This is a giant red quartz, solid quartz. It's amazing. I've never seen anything this big. And here is the what I believe to be a calendar. I was at this location on the spring equinox. You can see the stones make a perfect circle here, and I was on the spring equinox, so standing right where I am, looking up over the ridge, the setting sun, I have a photo, shines a beam of light that splits this circle perfectly. I think this would be the timepiece for the settlement that was here. large boulders around this tree, but as you can see, it has fallen, probably in a storm. But the boulders were mounted up to this tree, so maybe some significance to the tree. Look over here, we have a very big feather. What's that? Interesting. I don't know what kind of feather that is, but possibly an eagle. It's huge. Wow. I mean, in comparison to my hand, it's beautiful. I'm going to be taking that home with me. Once again, what looks like worked edges, 90-degree angles on very large quartz stones. Very interesting. Very interesting rock. Almost like something was worked out here when they were running a tool, trying to make tools through this rock here. It's smoothed out and it's actually burnt on there. I believe these are quartz, giant rocks. They're actually very white. Looks like there's quartz all throughout them. Definitely even like with that. So interesting, making tools here. Deep in the woods, what looks like another stone foundation or fencing of something. Some of these oaks have to be hundreds of years old. I mean, they're humongous. Giants among us. This clearing here where there are some, it's a circle of very large and some very old oaks that are rising up. I am walking along a stone path. The stones were laid almost like a road and a path coming from above those stones I just showed you down the ridge. Almost like if they would cart something along a stone path like this. Very large boulders at the crest of the ridge here. Another small burial mound here. Here's another disbursement of rocks going down the other side of, I guess that would be the east side of the ridge. And we're starting to get divots back here, and as you'll see coming up, there are bogs back here, very deep pits and indentations. Once again, looking at stones, and 90-degree angles should not be something that naturally occurs. Very random. If they did, it would be coincidence, but there's too many of them here, proving that these stones were worked. As you can see, the rocks are scattered. I mean, this might be from a geological, what's it called? The glaciers moving and dispersing these rocks through the field here, but this is in the same location that where the mounds are. So there was obviously human intervention into this location here. Keep in mind, these burial mounds are, if there are burial mounds, are facing the setting sun. So here we have stones that seem to be precision cut. Just putting my hand, we have edges to them, which is not a natural occurring thing, obviously. And there's this, we're on the highest point of this location right now, and there are these steps. They're almost like terraces of mounds of rocks that were in place there, and then we have one there, and then you see directly in front of you there's another one right there. We can actually get closer to that so you can see this, and these are terraced all the way down the hill.